and welcome to Teacup Talk Time Cultural Dimsum. My name is Padmini Pandit and I'm going to bring to you some interesting conversations, some inspiring stories, some entertaining interviews, and some very influential people from all over the world. Today is a special day. It's the onset of this long journey that we all have embarked upon, and it couldn't get any better. It's an absolute honor for me to bring you all Puja Swami Abhishek Chaitanya Giri Swamiji. Swamiji, thank you so much for gracing our show. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Well, namaskar, and my greetings to people here in Hong Kong. And having come on this particular day when T1 was signaled, so that has made me, a little excited that I was going to watch something. And yes, exciting because I'm here in the studio with all of you. Namaskar.
Swamiji is respectfully called the Mahamandaleshwar, keeper and defender of Vedas. He started his journey. He studied behavioral sciences and psychology from Mumbai University, and it was then that he started this spiritual journey. So, Swamiji, tell us what was your childhood like? Because you started your spiritual journey very early in life. So, how was it? Were you a different child growing up? Everybody knew he's going to do something different.
I don't know, every child is different in a way, and everybody of us is spiritual in his own way. And in fact, some days ago, I was, when you read these T-shirts with people, those lines on their T-shirts, I read it somewhere that I was intelligent till I went to school. So, so it rings. It has got something to say. We all have stories, and we all have stories even of the ugly duckling. Perhaps each child, as he is growing up, he grows up thinking, growing, absorbing various interactions that he has with the society around, sometimes of acceptance, sometimes of rejection, sometimes of appreciation, sometimes of absolute rejection. And then a person keeps growing. But in this process of growth, we lose something that is very, very valuable. That each one of us is born with this innate desire to know the truth, to discover something that is the fact behind this world behind you. And, as we grow up, the society, the parents, your own inclinations, everything piles up, and somewhere that flame, though doesn't get extinguished, somewhere just becomes dimmer and dimmer. And I think if we are able to bring that light back to our life, each one of us is a bright lamp, bright spiritual lamp.
But do you remember any instance or any particular moment where you felt that this is it? I mean, I'm going to walk on this path, you know, or or was it a gradual process? Or when did you start? I mean, when you were in the college, were you doing any meditation or any spiritual practice, any sadhana, any prayers?
Oh, well, but Minnie, how interesting it would be if I told you a story, and a story which had a lot of magic in it.
I was expecting that, guilty of that. Yeah, I thought that something is coming.
Yeah, and if I would tell you a story to spice it up, to make it something very interesting. That Shankar Bhagwan appeared to me one night when I was a child, and he gifted me a trishul. And since that day, I have been deeply immersed in meditation, and hence I'm talking to you today. Come on.
So nothing fancy.
Oh well, we can make fancy things, and it can also go as a bestseller. And
But the
we,
truth.
yeah, we can make a Disney film. But apart from all that, as far as I remember, since my childhood, my inclination always has been this way. Uh, you know, I have had I mean, I still have friends. I love my friends. I love my people. I love the family. I love and respect my parents who brought me up, who gave me the opportunity, who gave me the permissions to do things that I have always wanted to do. I mean, I'm indebted to every person who has been in my life. Uh, so if you're going to ask me if there has been any particular incidents Not incidents, but everything keeps on adding till you reach conclusions, till you reach certain understanding. And yes, one such was when I met or I saw Swami Chinmayananji. That you can say. I mean, though eventually it was just water growing. I mean, getting boiling to 100 degrees, till I really said that yes, I'm going to take to the life of monasticism. That if you're going to call that as a turning point, I saw this monk, and that was it. There was no turning back.
And you were graduating at that time, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, I was in my early days of the college, and that is where I saw him. I tried understanding. I mean, it was difficult because coming from a very humble Maharashtrian family, where we weren't speaking English, and Swamiji was lecturing in English, so we were not conversant. So it took me time to even understand what he was saying. But the very first impression of seeing something so amazing was truly inspiring. You can call that as my turning point, if there be any.
All right. Swamiji, as I just mentioned when I was introducing you, you are respectfully called the Mahamandaleshwar, which means the defender and the keeper of Vedas. So, if you could elaborate more on it, because I quite don't understand what it means.
Well, Mahamandaleshwar, if the word by itself, I mean, if you want me to give a discourse, this is going to be a small, little, short little interview. So I must tell you, Mahamandaleshwar, the word literally means the teacher of the monks.
Oh,
It means the teacher of the monks, because the monks in the older days, we never had monasticism as an organized society. Monasticism always has existed in India
yeah,
prior to Buddha. It is not even Buddha or Mahavir who have oriented it. In fact, Buddha himself was inspired by looking at a sannyasi.
right.
So the concept of sannyas always existed in India. And so since it was not organized, in fact, this organized part of monasticism is Buddha's invention.
Oh,
Once you are a monk, you are all off on your own without any support, without creating any security of an organization. You could move about in a society totally anonymous. If somebody came to you, you spoke, you answered, you taught, but you moved from one place to another place. So monks were people who kept on moving. Monks were people who were given to the path of knowledge, seeking knowledge. So they came to the teacher. And because they were moving along with the teacher, they were called as Mandali. Just as, coming from Maharashtra, you would also know you
yes.
have Natak Mandali
Yes, that's
or
right.
some sort of Mandali.
Bhajan Mandali or
Bhajar
yeah,
Mandali,
yeah.
not, you have that. So it means a group which keeps on moving.
That's right.
And so the teacher, who was the leader, to whom all these people had come gathered around to learn to understand the Upanishads, Brahma Sutra, etc., then was called as Mahamandaleshwar, because he was Mandaleshwar. And when the Mandali was big, a number of monks would just simply follow, giving up their life, or giving up life in the sense, giving themselves to this life to understand what the Upanishad Brahma Sutra is saying. Then these people would come to the teacher, and this is how the Mandali moved, and hence was called as Mahamandaleshwar. Now, even to say that keeper and defender of Vedas has got another implication.
Okay.
It means a body of knowledge can be kept alive, can be defended only when that knowledge is allowed to thrive. And there is a difference between knowledge and a belief system. A belief is a belief. Belief is something personal. Knowledge is not personal,
Agreed.
isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Knowledge is not personal. So, the Veda is a means of knowledge and knowing Brahman, knowing Dharma. So, by defender or by keeper, what is meant is when that tradition is kept authentic, without altering, without distorting. If that knowledge is brought, then you are defending, then you are keeping, then you are protecting. Protecting the knowledge does not mean attacking, becoming aggressive, denouncing others or anything. In wake of knowledge, all that is ignorance or projection of ignorance naturally goes away. So you don't have to do. Knowledge has the capacity to defend itself. You don't have to defend any truth. You don't have to. Truth has its own capacity, its own strength. Knowledge has that strength to defend, to remove, to refute. So all that one has to do then is to give himself to the pursuit of knowledge and allow that knowledge to be passed on. Then that is defending or keeping the tradition of knowledge.
Okay.
Hence we are called as defenders or keepers of the Vedas.
All right. So the thought that comes to my mind, the question rather that comes to my mind is, for an ordinary person like me or anybody who's watching us anywhere in the world, any part of the world, if I want to have access to this knowledge or to Vedas, where do I go? Or because, like I just mentioned some time back, the only source of knowledge for me has been my grandparents. You know, I've always heard of Vedic Shastras and things like that from them. And then, of course, now we have Google, which I don't know if it's the right place to, because there are blogs, there are opinions of, you know, different organizations and different people. Is there any place, or is there anything that we are doing to keep this knowledge so that youngsters or anybody, you know, if they want to access it or if they want to know about it, they can just go there, go to a certain person, or I don't know, a website or somewhere. Is there any physical place where we can find this
I'm,
knowledge, where it is coming from?
well. I'm so amused with people wanting to find an authentic source of the knowledge. Well, when we are wanting to have knowledge, a very important thing that we should have is gathering information is not what we are calling as knowledge. Information has a treatment of knowledge, but information by itself is not knowledge per se. The word knowledge would mean that illuminating something. When you are going to say, I know this is a black object. So this is a knowledge, is not that? So that knowledge means when you are able to illumine the shape, the color of that object, that itself becomes the knowledge. And you are able to do that because you have eyes, which can do. So eyes are the source from where the illumination of the object takes place. These eyes then become your instrument to illumine. So anything that illumines then becomes the window for the light to illumine certain objects. As eyes can illumine only colors and forms, ears can illumine only the sounds, so also we have an instrument which illumines only two things. Traditionally we say knowing Brahma and Dharma. These are the two things. That which illumines these two then is called as Veda. So Veda is not talking about some jumbo mumbo that we had flying saucers once upon a time. If people are able to conclude something like that from the Vedas, they can. You don't require Vedas only to make some flying saucers. Veda should be able to show you something which otherwise would remain unknown. If Veda is going to show you something which you can know from any other source, then that Veda is redundant, because you have another source which can illuminate. So that source which illumines only the Dharma and Brahma is what we call as Veda. So this is the authentic source. When you are asking me where to go for it, you know, unfortunately, the systems have been destroyed, distorted very badly. And I'm not just going to blame by saying that this is Kali Yuga and this is going to happen, because it was a very systematic effort to destroy the system. Nevertheless, we definitely have in some places from where this is still disseminated. And well, if you seek, you can definitely find them. I'm not going to say that go to some Himalayas and start searching for a guru, and no, that could be a nice trek in Himalayas. Yeah, and then perhaps because you're so hungry, you start hallucinating. But go. We have traditional people, and it could be very difficult. But unless and until you are ready to surmount that difficulty of the language, of people, of giving time, of giving energy, it wouldn't happen.
On that note, we will wrap this up. I have a lot of questions though, but we have limited time, so maybe we'll have another session of this sometime in future. You were listening to Teacup Talk Time Cultural Dimsum. I'm Padmini Pandit with Swamiji. We are signing off here. Hope you really enjoyed our show. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.
Thank you very much.